Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I just had to listen to EA do whatever the fuck that was for 50 minutes, and I just wish I could get my life back. Why? Why would you even put that together? What part of that, in what sense did EA Play feel like a good idea? You did nothing. And then I think about what would that have looked like if Corona didn't happen? And I honestly think EA as a business dodged a giant bullet because of the coronavirus on this one. Think about this. They were going to have this exact conference during E3 in LA at a separate studio, which would have cost them millions of dollars to put on. All they had to do this time was pay Greg Miller, which I don't think, I love Greg, but I don't think he cost millions of dollars to do. That was an absolute joke. They had more talking heads than an episode of The Office. That was disgusting. Just to recap, they started off with probably their biggest game out there right now, which is Apex Legends, and their best studio, which is Respawn. And Respawn talked about this current season of Apex, Fortune's Favor, and the new stuff that's coming. That's fine. You did great. Then the Sims people came up. Okay, are we going to talk about new Sims content? Are we going to talk about Sims 5? What are we doing here? No. All they were doing was talking about how Apex is coming to Switch, Apex is coming to Steam. Well, we can put two and two together to realize that every EA game isn't just going to be on Origin anymore. It's going to be on Steam. We got that. Crossplay is becoming a thing. We got that. The Sims people come out, and that's all they had to talk about was that being on Steam. And then put together a trailer that I think in their eyes was meant to have a statement. But in reality, all it said was, hey, no matter who you are, you can escape and create a perfect world in The Sims and avoid what's going on in the real world. That's really how it came across. It didn't sound good. It didn't feel good either. It just felt wrong in so many ways. And I don't understand what part of that felt like that was a productive use of time for anyone involved in anything. If The Sims had something to share, you should have let them share something, even a brief teaser of what they're sharing. But you didn't do that. All you did was set up Sims on Steam. And then at the end of that, you had two of your community managers talk about how there's other games coming to Steam. Well, we figured that out when the first two games you talk about are also coming to Steam. We kind of figured that they all were going to be coming to Steam because that's what you're setting up. You didn't need to do all this. That was a waste of time. And then we go into this, what feels like 10-minute documentary about one of their more outspoken indie developers who, I like the guy. He's made good games. Brothers is a good game. A Way Out is a good game. But you spend all this time basically making a 10-minute mini doc about this dude when he hasn't made a game that makes people, any common person watching, any consumer watching, does not care about. And then he talks about a game that doesn't even exist fully yet in a way that makes you think that the game is still in the earliest version of alpha. I still have no idea if I'm on a roller coaster and if there's in-game content somehow in this indie game. It Takes Two was the most non-game announcement I think I've seen in forever. And it led into the DICE game, where we also spend 5 minutes talking to these people that no one knows. EA! No one knows your indie devs. No one knows these devs. And I promise you, any studio that has indie devs isn't talking to indie devs like that. If you wanted to do that, having Q&A sessions and separate times to the people who do care is better use of your time. You have consumers that are buying products, and what they want is for you to tell them what products to buy. And you're sitting there, for lack of a better term, jerking yourself off because of your 3 indie studios. Guys, you have 3 indie studios working for you. That's not that many. I just don't understand why you had to spend that much time on the second studio either. The first guy, I'll give you a small excuse. People like Joseph. People understand he's a little outspoken and he's quirky. But you still spent way too much time on him. Then your third one wanted to talk about a game called Rocket Arena, which looks like the most hybrid game I've ever seen in Overwatch, which means it's not going to perform well. It's going to do exactly what Bleeding Edge did, and it's not going to make you any money. And you spent way too much time talking to that guy before you showed what I believe is gameplay and talked about 10 heroes like it was the greatest thing in the world. It's 10 heroes, guys. It's not that impressive. And then you said that the launch date was July 14th. Guys, do you have any idea what you're doing to another studio? You are putting them up against Sony and Ghost of Tsushima 3 days later. If there is a thing where people can only buy one game, no one is buying Rocket Arena. There is no benefit to buy Rocket Arena. Overwatch exists. Just play Overwatch. You don't need to play what they just created. What they created was garbage. No one's going to play it. You just hurt a studio that could have been working on something cool with whatever that was. And then you said, you know what? There's a bunch of lulls coming. Let's put it out in August. Let's put it out middle of August. Nothing around it that'll affect it until 28th, maybe. No, you decided 3 days before one of the biggest games of the year comes out. I know that they're probably not the same demo, but they are. Because they are action-based games that are going to affect each other. And there are people, especially now during this time, that can only buy one game. And they're going to look at these two games and they're going to say, what the hell is that? Is that a sequel to Rocket League? Oh, it's not? I don't give a shit. And they're going to go buy Ghost. You have just ruined, your name alone ruined your game. Rocket Arena. Just give it a cool name. Anything. I believe they even said the name of the fucking place in there. Just call it that. Just call it that. Look at Apex Legends. It's called Apex Legends. Come on. Just think a little bit. And you didn't do that. And you spent way too much time on these studios. Then when you're done with that, I think, hey, we're going to get into something good. And we do. We start talking. Hey, Star Wars Squadrons. Yes, let's talk about Star Wars Squadrons. Oh, we're going to talk to this. We're going to talk to the game director for almost 10 minutes about what his passions are and the game. Guys, you conducted the interview in the middle of a conference. No one cares about interviews. Do that at another juncture. Show the game. That's it. And then what you did show was super confusing because there's no reticle on that screen. So to believe that what I was watching was gameplay puts it in doubt because there wasn't any reticle. There's no UI. There's no nothing. What would have made that better? Showing 15 minutes. 15 minutes of actual gameplay. That's it. That's it. Just show a match or something. Show it off. What you have is a great concept. That is a great concept. That game's going to be cool. But you did not show it in a light to make people want to buy it more. And I keep seeing prices out there that are $40. Is that true? What's the price of this game? Is it $40? Holy shit, if it's $40, everyone's going to buy that. That's going to be a great seller. But again, your messaging is terrible. And you could have just showed a match. I know Ubisoft gets in a ton of trouble. A ton of trouble. For just showing what seems to be fabricated matches. But you know what it does? It shows you the UI. It shows you how the game operates. It shows you how the game basics can run. Yes, there is cheesy dialogue in it. But you know what it does? It shows you the game. It shows you running it. And if you ignore all that, if you turn off the audio and you watch the Division 2's premiere gameplay, you're still seeing the game. You still have a game. You still understand it. And if you look at that, that game translates to the game. That's all it is. I don't believe half the stuff I saw in that trailer. Yes, the guy even talked about it, and you can see it on the thing. Is that the UI? Simple explanations that a walkthrough gameplay, which you could have spent 15 minutes on instead of all these fucking talking heads, to create something that people were interested in. What did you do? Did you garner interest in your game? Maybe a little bit, but the consumer out there still doesn't know what the fuck they're getting into. And you haven't done anything to help them. Release date, great. What the fuck is it? Show me the game. You know, last year you showed game. You didn't show game this year. And then you talk about, I'm glad that you toned it down because last year it was too long. You talk about FIFA and you talk about Madden. And I'm glad that, I think this is the one positive I'll give you. You took maybe 5 minutes to talk about Madden and FIFA. Yep, get them out there. There's a new one coming. They're coming. Lamar Jackson's on it, and then whatever the fuck FIFA's doing. Congratulations. That was the one part of this conference that you did right. Then you had your CSO, your Chief Studio Officer, which I didn't think was a thing, come on screen and talk about potential and what next gen will mean and what the future will bring. And then you say this line, but we don't want you to wait till next June to see. And then you show us 5 minutes of what BioWare is working on, which I hope is Dragon Age 4 for the love of God. And then I believe 10 seconds of whatever facial animation DICE is going to be doing now. And then Motive, who's doing Squadrons, you showed something else that they're working on that you can't talk about that looks like a weird game that there's no interest there. It's in such early form that there's no way you can garner any excitement over. What the hell was that about? You literally talked about listening to your audience, listening to what people wanted, wanting to be better at listening. You know, you started off with a powerful message about Black Lives Matter and the 8 minute and 46 seconds that George Floyd was suffocated for and murdered on. Powerful messages. You had a scroller showing all of these great organizations that will help black men and women, our brothers and sisters of a different color, grow in this world. And then you followed up all of that with nothing but false messaging, with talk. Talk is cheap. Gameplay sells. Metacritic today released a list of the 40 best console exclusives. And that list is very, very telling of how this generation went. 20 of them were PlayStation games. 14 of them were Nintendo, and 6 were Microsoft. 3 of those 6 were the same fucking game, Forza. So, what does that tell you? Games sell. And if you look at the way PlayStation and Nintendo talk about their games, they give you the game. They show you gameplay. That is what you are missing. Showing the game. And then as one last stab in everyone's heart, you had the game director and creative director for Skate come on and talk about how they are going to be making a new Skate game. And let me tell you, the first words out of that game director mouth made me think that maybe they just found out that they got the green light to do it maybe a month ago. That game is 4 years away if we're lucky. You talked for 50 minutes and showed nothing. You said you were bringing back a franchise. And you are, but you showed no reason for anyone to be excited about it coming back because we will not remember it. Tony Hawk is coming back this year. And they showed gameplay. They didn't talk about it until it had substance. Activision did something right. They waited till they had something to show. Teasing the return of Skate 4-5 years before the game actually releases isn't going to help you. It isn't going to garner new purchases. The loyal fans of Skate will buy Skate 4. But if you wanted new people to buy that game, you failed because all you did was talk. These shows are built as consumerisms. E3 is not what it used to be. It is about the consumer now. And it is about showing the consumer what you have planned for 2020 and 2021 for the fiscal year. And what you showed is that you have nothing. You have a Star Wars game about flying. And if people don't like flight simulators, no, they're not going to buy that. You failed horribly. Your conference was worse than Microsoft's third-party announcements. I don't know how you can continue to do this, but you do. And you need to get better at listening. Yes, you greenlit Skate 4. Pat yourselves on the back. You do not have to then immediately run and tell everyone out there, hey, we're making a new skate. The fans will keep begging for a new skate. And in your back of your head, you know what's coming. Look at Final Fantasy VII Remake. Look at what Square did with that. What did the first thing that they show? Was it two people talking about how they're making a remake? No, it was a teaser. A tease that this game was coming back. An actual trailer. Was it CGI? Yeah, but it was something. Showing something is better than talking. It adds some type of legitimacy to what's happening. Talking heads is just an episode of The Office or Parks and Rec. Stop doing that. Period. I hope you guys get better at this. We still have Microsoft's pressers in July. But man, EA, you dropped the ball a lot. And if you're taking requests from fans, I would like 50 minutes of my life back. Because that was the worst thing I've ever seen. This has been my rant. I usually don't do these things, but I had to. This rant needed to get out there. And if you want more of these, please, trust me, I can rant. But thank you guys so much, and have a good day.